Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV here in Frederick, Colorado. My name's Taylor, and today we're going to be going over the 2026 Winnebago Navion. This is the 24R, and as you can see, it does have the bunk over cab, so you could sleep up to 4 or possibly 5, just depending on the size of your family. So we're going to go ahead and take a walk around the outside first, and then we'll end off on the inside. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, sliding over here, we'll go ahead and briefly talk about our Continental tires with that nice Winnebago emblem and our steel frame wheel. And then as we work our way down here, we have nice little mud flaps here and then our Winnebago running board. One thing I do always like to mention about Winnebago's running board, it does have a nice steel superstructure that's to that chassis frame, so you don't have to worry about any bend or give inside of this structure. Also, another thing I like to point out is just the 2 little hooks there, so you can go ahead and tie down your pets if needed. And then we have our nice full body paint here. Window up above, and then maybe if the lighting's just right, you can kind of see the little Winnebago camper and the nice little trees that are in that window there. They kind of add those little accents everywhere throughout the coach, which is kind of cute. Reminds me of how, you know, Jeep does that as well. And then as we work our way over, we have our Carefree awning. It's nice and sleek. You can barely tell that you have the full wall awning there, and it does have that LED strip in it as well. We have our outdoor porch light that is on, and then our dual pane windows that have a nice bug screen in there that is fully framed on the inside. So even if you do have those windows open, because it's kind of like an awning style to give you the most kind of pass-through breeze, when you have those open, you can go ahead and make sure and have a peace of mind that you're keeping those bugs out as well. I don't want to skip over our charging here, but you do have some nice outdoor charging options, and then a nice little pre-wire here if you did want to go ahead and have some outdoor entertainment with a TV. And then we have our Truma AquaGo, which is just right here, which is going to be our tankless water heater. And then in that first bay compartment, as you can see to the right of us, we have that battery disconnect there for our battery as well as for our inverter disconnect. And then just the nice plastic storage here, so it's nice and easy to clean. And then you just have that single latch. And then we have just our exhaust for the chassis in this corner right over here. Each bay is going to be nice and locked with a key, so you can go ahead and keep all things safe there. We have our Navion emblem, kind of midship, and then these are just the OEM sensors that come directly from Mercedes. So this is going to be kind of that ties into that blind spot monitoring package that is also equipped with this coach. And then we have our propane here, so if you wanted to go ahead and just a little inlet there, so if you wanted to kind of plug in that barbecue. And then we have our Dometic. This is just the exhaust for our heater. And one thing that makes this a very popular floor plan is just having the heated garage back here. So if you guys are familiar with the multiple options of the Navion, of the Winnebago floor plans, the EKKO is also one that was kind of more so introduced to having this garage space, and they brought it to the Navion. So I love that they did that. You still have the nice little L tracks. You have your little heaters in here, charging's up to the right here, as well as a nice little light. And then as you can see, this door is very big and very wide. I can go ahead and send you measurements if you like, because a lot of people like to store their e-bikes back here to keep them nice and clean, and they don't have to worry about a very expensive bike getting dirty in the back of their coach. But you have 3 latches here to make sure you're keeping everything safe. All right. And as we move back here to the rear of the coach, we'll go ahead and start at the top. We do have 2 solar panels up there that are going to be 120 watts each. And then we have the low profile AC unit, which is going to be the 15 BTU, and then it does have a heat pump in it. And then another cool feature, just the little things, right? The little things do matter. Winnebago actually paints over, you can see your kind of backup camera there. You have 2 different angles because this does have the digital view for that, the mirror that's in there as well. So one of them is gonna be for the mirror, so you have that on all the time when you're driving, and then you have one dedicated just to that backup camera. But as you could see for that full body paint, instead of just leaving it black, because that's what it is, Winnebago went ahead and painted over that to kind of give it that seamless look. And then just another access point to that garage, so you guys can kind of see another angle. And then below, we do have our 30 amp shore power cord. And then as you can see to the left of us over here, we do have that fresh tank drain. And you can also go ahead and slinky through any charging options, because you do have another input connections for a portable satellite dish and other things too, located back here as well. 2 latches, they both lock. And then we have our 5,000 pound towing capacity, depending on how heavy you load everything up. And then we have our nice little pre-wire here as well. And then you do have nice little lights here for your license plates. All right, and to close off that garage area, it's just that last door here. So you can see, as you can see, there's 3 separate access points. So no matter where you park or where things roll around while you're going down the road, you have endless options to kind of gracefully get all of the cargo out. All right, here is our safe view power inlet. So we have that GLN to make sure we have a nice charge there. It'll glow green. If something's wrong, it'll go ahead and let you know by highlighting itself red. And then we have our nice little wet bay here. Oops. I like how this one's a little bit higher. It's not super lower, so you don't have to squat down. Even your gray tank and your black tank dumps, the valves are going to be right there to go ahead and pull those. You do still have it down below, of course, so you have to connect it down there. But as far as everything else, you don't really have to worry about bending over, straightening your back or anything like that. Just to touch on the tank capacities, you have a 30 gallon for the fresh water, and then 47 for black and 46 for gray. You have your water pump. Here's just the switch to go ahead and turn on that light. So if you did need to go ahead and access anything back here, you don't have to worry about bringing a flashlight, and you could still have both hands to kind of do anything that you need to out here. Another cool feature is they have the little thing here. Again, just going on, touching on the little things, you have a nice little spot here where you can go ahead and turn on that shower, so you don't have to worry again about holding that too. And then you have somewhere where you could stow it away. Right now it is winterized, so we try to keep everything upside down. And then you just have your black flush here, as well as that freshwater inlet. Some more windows on this side, and then this is going to be our slide. So something cool, which I was going to touch on when we went on the inside, but this slide for the new remodel for the R, they did it a little bit longer and a little bit wider for a slide, so that gives you a little bit more room on the inside, and it really opens it up, especially having those 2 twin beds in the back. I feel like it just gives you the amount of space, having a big bed and still getting a little bit bigger of a slide. In this bay, we just have our propane, and then we have our little connectors here for our HWH leveling jacks. And then our generator right over here. This is the carb compliant, so it's the Flex Power 4000E. And then our generator exhaust. Again, the same little running board here for that driver's side. And then as the first glimpse of the inside, you do have the upgraded Primera seat, so that's going to match the interior colors on our way back. I love this new interior color that they're kind of doing. It's a brownish orange. I think it's a hit, but it's a little bit different. And then they did do a whole new steering wheel and dash, which we'll get into when we go in there, but just in case you guys already noticed that, I just wanted to mention it as well. And then we'll go ahead and just pop the hood, end off on the outside here, and then finally get the first looks at the inside. Alrighty. Okay, so this is on that Mercedes-Benz rear wheel drive. It's the Sprinter chassis, 2-liter high output turbo diesel, 4-cylinder engine, 9-speed automatic transmission with overdrive, and it does have the 250 amp alternator with the 4-wheel ABS brakes. I know I kind of touched on the OEM stuff that came from Mercedes, but I just kind of wanted to dive in a little deeper. So we have that blind spot monitoring, the digital mirror, and then the active brake assist, lane keeping assist, and then the hill start and crosswind assist as well. And then we have our DEF fill here. We just got the coolant, and all the other stuff's gonna be on the other side here for our windshield wiper fluid, our oil fill, and all that good stuff. But everything is nice and accessible, easy to see, and yeah, nothing too crazy about that. Besides this being the 4-liter instead of the 6, we've had a lot of, I personally have had a lot of customers telling me that they love it. It helps with that lag, so you don't have to worry about that. Overall, great chassis, and it's running really well. So if you guys had any other questions regarding the differences between this newer chassis versus the older one, I'd be happy to kind of schedule a call and kind of discuss the pros and cons with you as well. All right, but let's go ahead and just jump on the inside. Did just want to show you that nice screen door here that has the 6 hinges on the side, so it's a very stable, strong screen door. And then we have our fire extinguisher over here to the right of us, and then you have a nice little pocket there, so if you wanted to go ahead and put dog leashes or extra keys there, just something that you would need right before you walk out the door. I love that they did that as well. Another thing I wanted to point out is just all the controllers here. So as soon as you open that door, you can go ahead and hit that coach battery button. It's already on, but you can go ahead and start that power. Your awning controllers are here, and then that step override is also right there. So whenever you are ready to get set for camp, instead of every time that you close that door, those steps come in, you can go ahead and switch it off, so they will just always stay out. But there is a nice little override, so if you do put it in drive, it'll automatically bring those in. And then we just have our leveling jacks there. It is a nice touch screen now. And then we have our light configurations right over here. All right, I am gonna go ahead and just start that chassis, just because that's what we'll need to turn on in order to open that slide. So that's check 1, and then make sure our emergency brake is up, otherwise that will not work at all. Perfect. But as you can see, I believe I have most of, yeah, the lights are all on. Perfect. But as you can see, with that slide in, you still have a tremendous amount of space here all the way to that bathroom. It is split, so if I open the door, you won't be able to see, but just as you can tell, the slide ends right here, so this space will never get bigger or smaller. It's just going to be this space back here, but you can still open up the fridge, access your sink, and all that good stuff. Alrighty, our slide out controller is going to be right here, so just with a click of a button, we'll go ahead and push that out. Perfect. Almost there, and there we go. But I'm not sure how much you can notice on a video, so if you were interested on kind of seeing the difference between the older floor plan to this one, as far as the slide being a little bit bigger, feel free to reach out to me and we can kind of set up an appointment for you guys to come out and test drive. But I do feel a difference. Other than that, let's just go ahead and start in the back here. Another thing similar to the EKKO, except it's a little wider, so I really like that. And then you have a little bit more level of a steps, and it comes with this nice little mat, which I think is nice for each step as well. But since we're already down here, I'll just go ahead and start with the storage down below. I'll do this side. There we go. As soon as you open that door, you have a nice little light that will turn on. And then you do have a nice little hanging rod there. We just have breakers here, and then you have 2 options for charging down below, and then you have another drawer here. And again, what we're looking at on this side is also going to be on the opposite side of me as well. And then another cool feature that's a little different, sorry that I'm comparing the EKKO, but I feel like if you love the EKKO but you just want a little bit more space, the Navion is definitely an option, especially this floor plan because it's fairly similar. But you have more storage too, because in the EKKO you just have the 2 little cupboards up here, well, for storage, but this one you have them on either side, and in addition, into those corners you have the nice little bungee cord, so you can go ahead and shove in additional storage space there. We do have the nice little reading lights, and then there we go. Okay, you do have charging on either side there, the UBC and USB. And then I'll just go ahead and open up these ones, but they're all identical on either side. You do have a little barrier here. I'd probably say about 4 inches high, but if you did need the through and through space, you do have a nice little cubby hole here. Everything is carpeted, and you can kind of see this nice little steel structure in the back there. They do have the little bit of upgraded hinges too, with the one latch, and I like that they upgraded the latches too instead of the push button. Seems to be something that's a little bit more sturdy and stable. I know the button ones would kind of come loose and you had to tighten them yourself. And then we have our TV right over there, so that's another thing that's a difference from the EKKO. You have the option of putting it in there aftermarket. This one is already included. These, I was gonna go ahead and just put them up so I could show you guys, but since they're still in the plastic wrap and all new, I didn't. But this is just gonna be for that front windshield. So you can go ahead and close everything off, including that driver and passenger's window. Here is just that bed that you'll go ahead and put in the middle here to kind of make it a little bit bigger for you. But you have the two twin, pretty much extra long on either side. I like the headboard in the back, kind of makes it feel a little bit more homey and luxurious. And then you have those same windows on either side, which I'll go ahead and just bring down, unlatch it. This is that bug screen I was telling you about. But as you can see, it's all the way secluded and framed on the around it. So if you did have this open and you had the bug screen down, you don't have to worry about any bugs getting on the inside. But this does dual as an emergency window. That's why these hinges are red. But you can just go ahead and prop it open and immediately just feel the breeze from the outside coming in. All right. This is just the table, so you guys can kind of see it, which I'll demonstrate when we get over there earlier. I just didn't want to forget about it. So that will be once we look at that theater seat option. This is going to be the tricky part, just because these doors, one opens this way and one opens that way, so you can always give yourself privacy no matter what side you're on. So I'm going to show you this side, and we may need to do a little rendezvous. But right over here, and then as you can see, that blocks off that bedroom area. But I love how it's completely split to kind of give you a little bit more space. And now let's go ahead and switch. And you do have a nice little lock there. And then I will just show you guys the other side here. And it closes it off on this side. And then you do have the option, of course, of like going in the middle and opening up both doors at the same time, so you can cut off the bedroom as well as the living room area and use both. But it's kind of nice having them split, of course, just for a little bit more space. All right, perfect. I just wanted to make sure we're done. Alrighty, now we can just go ahead and move forward to our kitchen area. Of course, you guys already seen that slide out controller. This is just a sensor here for our heating and cooling. And then we have all the light fixtures over here, as well as our water pump. And then directly below here, we just have that nice for our propane for safety thing. And then over to our sink. Sorry, it is winterized and we don't want it to get blue here. But I do like how it is nice and split, so you could still have the capability of using your sink if you needed more counter space. It'd probably make more sense doing it on this side, just because then you'll still have that. But then you'll still be able to access your sink, as well as having the additional counter space. And then if you wanted to, it's just wood, so you can go ahead and dual that as a cutting board if you'd like. Up above here we have our systme TV, and then our Bose, but it does lift up here and it's on a hinge, so you have additional storage below with charging. Your HDMIs are located back here as well, and then you have your remote. But I thought that was kind of cool. I know most of the Navions, they have it where it swings, but the latch, I could never unlatch it, so I like how this one just kind of, you pull it up and it's ready to go. Alrighty, right over here we have our gray stone convection microwave. So as you can see, it has all the convection appliances on the inside. We have our splash guard here, which is glass for our cooktop. There's a nice split into two. So again, one electric, one propane. So it's going to help with that boondock capabilities to kind of reserve whichever you're in need of. If you aren't on full hookups, then you can go ahead and just use your propane reserve, or vice versa. And then again, this beautiful kitchen window that really just lights everything up, and then you can kind of see what's going on in the campground. Just put that up for light purposes. And then I'll just go ahead and show you all the storage below here. So this is directly underneath that sink. You have a nice little rack here to go ahead and put in a sponge, some soap, all those little things. And then we'll just go ahead and start from the bottom here. We have our 3 drawers, a few more remotes, and then the countertop here. So you have a little bit of additional countertop, but what I like the most is it's not going to obstruct the whole entire door. So if someone was still coming in and you had food right here, you don't have to worry about grabbing the food and putting this down, because it completely blocks the door here. So I like that. And then I don't want to forget this little huge touchscreen here, very main point for the video here. So we have our nice little control panel, which is also something you can do to download onto your phone. So no matter where you are at, you can go ahead and look at all these controls. Another cool thing I like, it will just give you reminders like it is right now. You just have to click through them. So right when you turn it on, it will kind of let you know, hey, what's going on? Your batteries are low. This is how much propane you have. Looks like you need to give this attention and kind of help you troubleshoot it. But we'll just go ahead and go into our overview. As you can see, one really cool thing I like is you can turn on and off each individual light. Not only that, but you can kind of change how high or low you want the brightness. So you can kind of set that, and you have up to 6 different light settings, so you can go ahead and configure it to your liking. And then of course just your water systems, awnings, pet minder, which is really cool because you can set that max temp and that minimum temperature where you would want to not only be alerted, but you can go ahead and once you get that alert from your phone, you can go ahead and turn on that generator if needed, or it will just like automatically kick on your AC if you have the battery power. But if you're not hooked up, it'll go ahead and send you that reminder to like, hey, you should probably turn on your generator, so then you know your pups are safe. Energy management, the climate control, and then you can also do your slide out from here as well. And you can kind of go deep dive into the notifications and reminders, settings, and controls. You can turn it into light or dark mode. Alrighty. We'll just keep swinging on this way. We have that bunk over cab. I love this new cover that they kind of put on it. It really ties into just the whole aesthetic inside the coach. Kind of has that brown, orange, and beige accent to it, but you still have, of course, those 2 windows that do open just a little bit on either side, and you have this little center divider that flips open, so you can go ahead and comfortably sleep up there, but it doesn't obstruct you trying to walk in to the cockpit. And then you have the charging over there to your left, and you have a nice little night light if needed as well. And then of course that little curtain to kind of give yourself some privacy. Alrighty, and directly above that we have our fantastic fan that does have a nice little cover, so you don't have to worry about any rain or anything like that getting in. And then we'll just keep on moving over here. You have 2 more cubbies. This one's a little deeper. This one's the same as what we looked at before. And then another cool feature, because this is the upgraded recliners, you have the USB. Just want to make sure they're both only USB, but you have 2 on either side here, so for some charging. And then of course the 2 seat belts. This one's just kind of tucked away, and I always mess myself up when I do these on camera, so I'm just gonna say it and hopefully I don't. All right, but so it's gonna be, I'm gonna act like, because you can't see, but it's on the inside of the chair. You have 2 little metal prongs there. One is to recline and then one is to retract, so you can just go ahead and put those out, but they're very comfortable. They lay not completely flat, but you can go back pretty far. And another cool thing I like too is you have the adjustable headrest. So this is probably as far as you can go, and then you can go ahead and push it back, so you can also kind of help be as comfortable as you'd like. And then of course a reading light underneath, and then some more storage. The same as before, you have about that 4-inch lip here, but it is still nice and through with the carpet, and then that metal framing in the back. But another cool thing, of course, I know I already talked about the new latches, but I love kind of the 3-tone that they have going on here in the cabinets as well. So I know we had the USB that I mentioned on either side of the theater seat, but you do have some charging as well in this corner and as well as up here, but it's only going to be on this side. So I just wanted to point that out. And then we have our Norcold fridge. It is a compressor driven 12-volt fridge and freezer. So we got the freezer on top and our refrigerator nice and down below. And another thing is no carpet. Pretty much throughout the whole, no carpet throughout the whole entire coach. You just have those 2 little mats. So that's just another nice feature that I wanted to point out. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Let's go ahead and jump in the front and close up over here. All right, as you can see, we have that digital dash, and then the chassis is still running from when I turned on, when I had to extend the slide. But as you can see, the steering wheel looks a little different. Controllers are all pretty much the same. It just dives in a little bit deeper, which is kind of nice as far as for that, for your driving capabilities for the cruise control, and then all of the other settings as far as that adaptive cruise, and where it'll start slowing you down as well for the emergency braking. But you can go ahead and swipe through, all of your configurations through the dash up front, or you can go ahead over here and access them through your touchscreen over here. So you have your navigation, your phone, which you can go ahead and Bluetooth, your radio, media, dives into the more of the apps, info, and then the settings for the vehicle where you'll go ahead and do your collision avoidance. Go ahead and set those parameters to what you would like, turn on and off, all those things. And for the vehicle, go on your lightings, more of the systems, and then dive deeper into the info. Down below here, still the same standard, but you have a nice little change for the colors of, I'm drawing a blank of what that's called, but we'll just keep going, I'm sorry. And then we have our nice little key fob holder down below here, but they did add some more charging. So you have the 115 volt down here, and then the other 2 down the UBC as well. And then no glove box, but you have a nice little storage compartment here, and then you still have, if I can open that one, geez, sorry, plenty of storage up above, and then you have 2 more cup holders on the top, wireless charging, and then some more options for plugging in if you didn't want to Bluetooth your phone and all that good stuff. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for our 2026 Winnebago Navion. Again, this is the 24R. If you have any questions regarding any Winnebago products, I'd be happy to help you guys out. You can give me a call at my cell phone number, which is also textable, which would be 970-388-7937. Again, my name's Taylor, and feel free to reach out to me. Thanks again. Bye-bye.